I got to thinking it's been a very long time since I really demonstrated blender pens. So we're going to work with those, and I'm going to show you 2 ways to use those today. There are several benefits to owning the blender pens, and I did want to show you. They are on page 180 of the annual catalog. They are $12 for a set of 3. Okay, $12 for a set of 3. And where are my cards? I mentioned one of the ways was using our ink pads and the blender pens combined to do some coloring, and we're going to do that today. I'm casing these 2 cards but changing them up a little bit, and we'll do that. But before we do that, I want to show you something else. This is one of our, I think it's, what's it called? I just put the brochure away. So Happy Kit, I think. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts now because I just had the pamphlet and I don't see it. 200. It's this kit, the Lots of Happy card kit for $35. It's an all-inclusive card kit. And the reason I wanted to show it to you today is because it has a set of 4 Stampin' Up! Colored pencils, and I want to show how I use the blender pens with the color pencils. So, Marty, thanks for joining me. Hi, Jackie and Wendy. I'm not sure who all I've said hello to, but I'm glad you're all here. I appreciate your time, and I love sharing with you. So, the kit gives you 5 different card designs to make, and you'll make I believe 3 or 4 of each of them, 4 of each of them. So that's a total of 20 cards. Some of them can be mailed, like these 2 large ones. Okay. And then the other 3 you could mail if you put in a regular envelope, but they're more like if you're giving a gift, or if you just want to leave a note on a coworker's desk, or stick a note in a suitcase or backpack or lunchbox. Add it to a birthday gift, perhaps give with a bouquet of flowers or a planter, okay, that kind of thing. But in all of this, you get this fabulous stamp set. You can see mine is stained because I stamped with black Stays-On ink, but there's 5 sentiments and then the flowers. I did not stamp all these flowers. You get, in the kit, you get all these different pieces. There's some little ones too somewhere. And then you color them with the 4 colored pencils that Stampin' Up! Gives you. Now you can color them and leave them. They look just beautiful. I think my cards look really nice, just like that. Okay, I'll show them to you individually so you get a better look. And all of them have a coordinating envelope. It's sized to match that card, and it has the black and white liner in it. This is a fun hexagon shaped card. And of course it's got all these white pieces edged in gold that you can stamp any sentiment on. So it's very versatile. But what I wanted to show you today is that I colored all of these to make some more cards, but I wanted to show you the difference between what it's like when they're just colored with pencils versus going over the color pencil with your blender pen. Now the blender pen is already moistened. It comes like that, so don't add water or anything to it, and it does last a very long time. You can see the tip of mine is stained, so I'm just going to go over on some scrap paper and make sure that I have all the ink out. But I'm just going to just lightly blend all of my, I'm going to do one side so you can see the difference. Blend all of my flowers and leaves where I watercolored. I am going to clean the tip off when I switch to different colors. You can see here it's giving, I'm getting a deeper color by using my blender pens over the watercolor pencils. Honestly, I love this technique. I haven't, the other day after that Facebook Live, I thought, I have not used my watercolor pencils in a very long time, and then I thought I still have this kit with some of the cards yet to make, so I pulled that out, and my client and I this morning did some coloring. So here you can see, let me put this here. Here you can see the difference very clearly. This is just me coloring with the color pencil. And it looks perfectly fine, doesn't it? It looks perfectly fine. And then this is me, or my coloring, not me, my coloring, by going over the pencil strokes with the blender pen. Do you have a preference? Is there one you like better? I like them both, but my preference is always to go over it with the blender pen. I think it just gives it a little bit more polished, finished look, a little more artistic, because you see you can do some more blending. If I wanted to go in there with some of the darker shades of green, I could and you do want to let it dry, because like I said, this tip is moistened. You're going to let it dry, but you can go back in and put some more color in, okay? I'm going to wipe this off. I always suggest, even if it's the last bit of coloring you're doing, still clean it. And then when you get them out, double check and make sure they're cleaned, okay? So that's an alternate way to use your color pencils, is to combine them with the blender pens, okay? And like I said, that's a really great kit, the Oh So Happy card kit. It's all inclusive. You'll get the full stamp set, you'll get the 4 color pencils, you'll get all the pieces and parts for the cards, you'll get the envelopes, and all those pieces and parts, they just punch out. There's no cutting. And the only thing you really have to stamp is the sentiments, which they give you the stamp set to do that, and also the envelopes if you'd like. You could stamp the flowers on the envelopes. Okay, so great value. I'll also tell you, since we're talking color pencils right now, page 179 has Stampin' Up's 2 sets of watercolor pencils. I own them both and I love them both. Just a matter of preference as far as colors. The one set you get 13 pencils for $16, and in the other set, the second assortment, you get 10 different colors for $12.50. So both a good value. And then, like I said, the blender pens are on page 180. You get a set of 3 for $12. So let's go on. And, you know, one thing is so many of us, hi Karen, so many of us love that honeybee bundle, the Golden Honey Designer Series paper. Awesome. But one thing I want you to remember is it's not all about honeybees, okay? It's got the beautiful gold tones in there. It's got flowers in there. So honestly, you can make some very beautiful cards with the honeybee theme, but you certainly don't have to have a honeybee theme, okay? Because there are plain patterns and there are flowers as well, okay? So that's one of those things. Don't let the name of it or the title of it or all the samples you see draw you in to think it's just got to be honeybees. Because if you're like me, I want to get the most for my money. I want products that are versatile, and this paper is one of those. Hi, June. Thanks for joining in. If you are watching, be sure and comment so I know you're here, and I would appreciate it if you'd comment throughout. or give me some hearts and thumbs ups. So today these are the two cards I showed you the other day where I used blender pens. Excuse me. Blender pens and ink pads. So I'm casing these today, but I'm changing up the color from Melon Mambo to Highland Heather. And I'm also changing the orientation of each of the cards. I have 2 horizontal cards, so today I'm making 2 vertical cards. Thanks, Wendy. I'm glad you like those. Okay, so I'm going to start with my Highland Heather. I've pre-cut my pieces here. And I'm just going to dab the tip of my blender pen into the ink pad. And I'm just going to color in. There is a tip. It's not a super fine tip, but fine enough that you can do things like this, outlining and filling in. One thing I would say when you're using these two, don't press real hard like you would. Thank you, Joyce. Don't press real hard like you would with crayons, but kind of, I would say use a brush stroke. You'll get much more life out of your blender pens by using a brush stroke instead of pressing hard and going back and forth. But you get the idea here. You can also see that as I'm coloring, the ink is leaving the blender pen and getting lighter. Okay, so it is possible for you to get some lighter shades in there. Okay, and you just go in, filling in all of this. I will tell you that the piece of designer series paper here that I've cut is 2.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So if you're wanting to case this card later, the dimensions are 2.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Okay, so you get the idea, right? Okay, I'm not going to fill this all in right now because I want to continue on with the card making. All right, but I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to clean this because I am going to use that color again. So I'm not going to worry about cleaning it now. I'm going to adhere this to a piece of basic black cardstock that measures 2 3/4 inch by 5.5. I want to make sure it's centered. Not quite. There. Okay. I have a Highland Heather card base, which measures 5.5 by 8.5, standard size, and I'm going to put this on that. Okay, here's my one that I was casing. I'm just turning it. Okay, I'm just turning it. It could go over here, it could go right in the center, it can go wherever you want it. How about right in the center this time? Now this is where you can help me out. I have a couple pieces of ribbon here, 3 pieces. Do you want number 1, solid black, number 2, the black glitter ribbon, organdy glitter ribbon, or number 3, the Daffodil Delight ribbon on there? The first person to answer, I will go with your choice. Welcome, Kathy Crumlish. I'm glad you're here. Okay, anybody? Or am I going to have to choose myself? Mary Lou says number 2, so I'll go with that. Thank you, Mary Lou. I'm going to set this out of the way so I don't get my card in it. And I'm just going to do a simple knot here. But you could do a bow, whatever you like. Oh, Joyce, you and Mary Lou are in agreement. Number 2. Jackie, number 2. Okay. I'm always interested to see what people are drawn to. So thank you for your participation. I'm going to trim my ends here. How is the weather where you are? Columbus, Ohio is gloomy, gloomy, gloomy. But you know the saying, always look for the silver lining in things, always, you know, find the positives. I have to say, driving to and from work today, and we're hovering like right at 31, 32, 33. So the spitting rain we're getting is tending to freeze, not so much on the roads, but basically on the trees, the evergreens, bushes, things like that. And I have to say, those do look beautiful with those drops of ice frozen on them. So yes, gray and dark and drab here. But like I said, I did find the beauty in the day, I'll say, which is always a good thing. Kind of changes my mood around. Okay. Is that quite centered? I can't tell. When you center things, you definitely want them centered exactly. And when you are off center, you definitely want them off center so it doesn't appear to be a mistake. Do you understand what I mean? Like if I had had this up just maybe a little bit more, you would have been questioning, well, is that supposed to be in the center or does she really want it there? Okay, so I either like to be dead center or I like to have it off to one side enough that you realize it was intended for that. Okay, let's do quick stamping. I'm going to use a thank you for this one. Oh, I already got them out. Ahead of myself here. Okay, I'm going to stamp in black on white. Stamp that again. There. And I'm going to punch it with my 1-inch circle punch. You know I love my punches. You can see I was using scrap paper. I don't like to waste. I'm going to use my 1 1/8 inch scallop circle punch to mount that on. And then I will use the 1 3/8 inch punch for a scallop black circle. Okay, and I'm going to layer all these. I'm going to just use regular adhesive for the top 2 layers, and between the Highland Heather and the black, I'm going to put dimensionals to pop that up. Okay, you can see this is a super simple card base, isn't it? Super simple card base, and I think I'm going to stick it right there in the center with dimensionals. And I'm putting one at the top and one at the bottom because I don't want my dimensionals sitting on the ribbon, because then it will tend to bounce around. I want my dimensionals to be on that DS paper. Okay, and there you have it. Super simple, super quick. And like I said, I'll go back in after I'm finished with the live and fill in the other flowers here. But a very simple layout and a very simple technique for you to use with your blender pens and your ink pads. Which brings me to one of the great benefits of, and probably the best benefit of the blender pens, is that if you don't have all the colors of Stampin' Up! Markers, you know what I'm talking about, all our Stampin' Right markers, or if one of them has dried out, which may do after lots of use or age. My fine tips tend to dry out first. But if you are in need of a particular color of marker and you don't have it, that's where the blender pens come into play. You can basically have any color marker you want if you own a set of blender pens. Okay, and you know that, like I showed you, you can clean them, they're reusable with other colors, so it makes it simple and easy. Okay, let's do one more. Here's the other card I showed you the other day. We're going to case that, but we are going to make it a vertical card. I'll leave this one here for you to see. Okay, we're going to make a vertical card instead. So I have my pieces cut here. Regular standard side card base, and of course it's good to always put a piece of Whisper White on the inside for your writing. On the outside, I'm starting with a piece of 4 3/4 by 3.5 designer series paper. Okay, 4 3/4 by 3.5. And on this one, I'm going to show you, and again, that's from the Golden Honeybee designer series paper. I didn't want it all black and white, so I'm going to color it with a sponge dauber and the ink pad. And I'm just going to ink that up really well. I put a lot of ink on the sponge dauber. And I'm just going back and forth, okay, back and forth with even pressure. Okay. And I just continue all the way down like that. And you can see I can do some stripes that are lighter or darker. I can have them darker at one end and lighter as I go across. You can do whatever you want with them. And if you're not sure how dark you want to go, start light. You can always add more ink and make it darker. Let's see how dark I can get this, the Highland Heather. Okay, see, I can get that pretty darn dark. But if you're not sure what tone or how dark you want to go, start with less ink, less pressure. And go over it fewer times. Keep it moving so you don't get the, dots in there. Although these are fabulous if you just want some polka dot paper. You can make your own designer series paper, polka dot paper with these, which is fun. Has anyone ever done that? Made their own designer series paper by stamping on it or sponging it or coloring it in some way? Taking plain cardstock and making your own designer series paper? Make some of these lighter ones a little darker. Thanks to all of you who are watching. I'm so happy you were able to join me today. I love sharing projects with you and techniques. Okay, so there's one technique of coloring designer series paper. I'm going to take this piece 4 3/4 by 3.5 and mount it to Whisper White cardstock that is 1/8 inch larger. So 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. So I just have a very narrow border of the white. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and mount that to the center. Again, I'm using some scrap paper. I figured it was coloring on the one side, but I certainly can use it the other side, plain white, since nobody will see that. I wasn't sure how I was going to like the Highland Heather with the black, but I think I like it. Okay, I used the same size border as on my first one, but I think I actually want to trim this down. So this was 1 3/4 by 4 3/4. I'm going to trim it down to 1 1/2. No special reason, just because I can. Again, just changing this up a little bit. Okay. Now I could have colored this designer series paper before I put it on the cardstock. Doesn't really matter since I am, where's the one I was using? No, I didn't clean it. Since it's on black, it really is okay. And I would just do the very same thing. Dip it in my ink pad. And then color all the flowers. Who has the blender pens? Any of you watching have the blender pens? And is this something? Yes, covering up the bees and the butterflies, the gold, or bees and the gold, yes. But it's also fun to use some of those other patterns and prints too. But I do love the bees. In fact, I've been using them so much, I need to set them aside and pull out some other things I haven't used. Isn't that always the case? You fall in love with something and you just keep going and going. But yeah, a lot more things in the works. I'm loving the coordination products that Stampin' Up! Just released on Tuesday. There's 6 of them. Before we go, I'll show you the paper, because it is so fun, and I will be using that paper on Sunday's Facebook Live. So I'll give you a sneak peek of that paper. Once again, I continue to try to build up my business. If you could share my blog, my Facebook group, my VIP group, newsletter, anything like that, to spread the word about my business, I appreciate it very much. If you are in the Cincinnati area, I am working with Tammy and Beth to secure some more dates for more classes there. Hi Amy, thanks for joining in. Okay, love the blender pen. Several of you have them, good. Yes, yes, and if you're not 100% comfortable, always try on the small pieces of paper as Wendy suggested. And don't forget, you want to clean those blender pens before you put them away, okay? And when you're cleaning, make sure you're turning the tip, okay? As you turn the tip, some sides have more ink on than others, so you just want to make sure you keep turning that tip. And it may take a while, but be patient. It's worth those few seconds to get it cleaned. Okay, looks good now, doesn't it? Okay, I think I got all the ink out now. Oh, almost. Okay. All right. And all this just means you worked hard. All righty, there goes. Okay, I'm going to add this here. I'm going to have a sentiment, but again, I don't know what happened to my solid piece of ribbon. Oh, here it is. It was just a scrap. So, again, number 1, number 2, or number 3 ribbon for this one. And while I'm waiting for your response, I'll go ahead and stamp my sentiment. This is thinking of you, sweet friend. And I do use, you've probably heard me say this before, the Memento black ink is my favorite. It is my go-to black. Over this, we sell this one and the StazOn. Okay, and I'm going to use one of our newest punches for this. I'm going to trim a little bit off there. That pretty centered? I think so. And I'm going to back that with a piece of Highland Heather. Okay. Oh, the same people are responding, but we have 2 votes for number 1, so we'll do that. To back this, and it looks fine like that, but I think it just needs something more. And of course, the obvious choices would be to mount it on either the Highland Heather or black, but you could even pull in a 3rd color if you wanted. But I'm just going to snip this right down the center. And then what I do is I flip my tag over and I put a little adhesive on each end. And then I just place the left end over one of those halves, and then I place the right end over the other, and it's that quick and that simple. Okay, another way to get more use out of your punches. And now I'll put all the pieces together. I think you said number 1, right? Okay. And again, I'm just going to tie a simple knot. Nothing fancy. Welcome, Leah and Leslie and Amy. I'm glad you're all here. When you have time, be sure and go back and watch from the beginning so that you capture all the projects and techniques and tips for today. Don't forget, celebration is still going on. We are into the 2nd month of celebration. I would love to add more, I'm going to put this at the top this time. I would love to add even more people to my Merry Stampers team. I have a great team, but I'm always looking to build. Oh, Amy, no problem. You can always go back and watch the replay. Although I like to have people live because then you can participate along with me while I'm creating. And it can be all the way over to the side or some stripe there. I think I'll leave just a little edge of that stripe on the left side. And then I'm going to use some dimensionals to put my tag on. Those thinking of yous are probably cards I use the most. I gotta get back in the habit of sending birthday cards. I've not been keeping up, not even with my family. So I need to do better about that. And I'm just gonna tuck it there. You could put it at an angle if you wanted, but I'm gonna put it straight here. And I like it tucked under the end of that ribbon a little bit too. There. Okay, what do you think? Simple and easy. Okay, I will go back in and fill that in. I have also seen people color in the background, which can be a lot of work, but you could speed that up by using a sponge dauber. Okay, any questions for me? what did I say? Oh, I said I would show you our newest designer series paper. Let me move some of these things out of the way. I'll leave these here so you can see, but I just got stuff everywhere. Okay, so those are our cards from today. And Pleased as Punch is the name of this designer series paper. There are so many cool things about it, okay? So many cool things. Oh, Leah, I'm glad you love it. Amy, I'm glad to know you like the Highland Heather and Black. I wasn't sure how I would feel about that combination, but I like it too. Okay, Pleased as Punch designer series paper. Brand new. It's one of the coordination products that just came out on Tuesday. And wait till you see it, okay? And you're getting 12 sheets. 2, 3. And you're getting, there's 4 different ones with different patterns on each side, and you're getting 3 of each. So it's fun to do lots of things. Okay. This is the front, the umbrellas, and then the raindrops. Sorry, I figured I'd better pull out these punches that I want you to see how they coordinate. Okay. This is fabulous. Look at this. We have a punch to cut out all these umbrellas and handles. And I'll give you a tip too. Somebody commented on my blog when I made the Heart Doilies ladybug, and she said she used this umbrella handle for her antenna on the ladybug. So I thought that was pretty neat. I love that tip. So this sheet with the umbrellas coordinates with the umbrella builder punch, and it's got fun raindrops on the back. Don't you love the bright colors? Okay. Rainbow hearts and a pretty petal pink check pattern. And you can cut out all of these hearts with the 2 punches in the heart punch pack. Fabulous, right? Our next sheet is flowers, and I didn't pull that punch, of course. I didn't think about it. But we have a small punch, a small flower punch to coordinate with that. This is available free in the celebration brochure with a $100 order. I'm also told that it's being carried over into our new annual catalog that starts in June. So this will be around for a while. The other punches I'm not sure of. We haven't been told anything. But how fabulous is this, that you can punch out all these little flowers. On the back has just a pretty rainbow stripe pattern. And then this last one, the tulips, you can cut out the tulips and leaves with the tulip builder punch. Now remember, as you're working with all of these, you are going to want to use your paper snips and trim around sections so that you're not, for example, you just want to be sure that when you're punching one tulip, you're not cutting into the other. Okay, so to avoid waste, take your time and use your paper snips and cut around certain areas. Then if you need help, let me show you this. And you might cut a couple out at once. If you think, okay, this is small, how am I going to manage that in the punch? You use the Post-it note trick. You just attach that to your designer series paper. This works too if you're stamping on small, maybe sentiments or small images, and decide you want to punch them out. but you're trying to stamp on scraps to use those up. See how that works? Okay, there's probably no way I could manipulate that little piece without that Post-it note attached to be able to line it up perfectly, center it in the punch. Okay, so don't forget to use your paper snips and your Post-it notes when you are working with the Please Just Punch paper. Oh, I didn't show you the back, did I? Pretty green. A pretty green stripe, diagonal stripe. Okay, so awesome, awesome paper. I hope you'll join me on Stampin' Scrap with Mary Knabe, Sunday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for some more creative inspiration. And I will be featuring projects using this set of designer series paper and all these wonderful punches. Any questions, any suggestions for future Facebook Lives? You can comment here or message me. And again, I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate your business. If you joined late, please do go back and watch from the beginning. My Facebook Lives are permanently saved to my Facebook group and my Facebook page. They typically also are later posted on my blog. So there are lots of ways to go back and see these. And if you like what you see, please share with your crafty friends and family and coworkers. I'd love to get more customers and more team members and more viewers and followers. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy your weekend. And please join me 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Stampin' Scrap with Mary Knabe this Sunday.